This is extremely exciting for me to be interviewing the sensational Abha Anjura. Abha, welcome to On VJ's playlist. I'm so happy to be speaking to you this afternoon. First of all, how are you, lady? How have you been doing?
I'm good. Hi, PJ. I am so excited to be on your playlist and also on your show. And thank you for having me and best wishes for your new endeavor. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you so much. Abha, um, I don't think of all the things I've read about you, of all the videos that I have seen about you before we began filming this interview, can do justice to the sensational journey you've had, not just as an artist, but also as an individual. It's very phenomenal. It's very inspiring. It's a sort of fallback or the reference that women should refer to, on days when self-doubt is looming so large, on days when we feel absolutely uncertain and not the best version of ourselves. I think you have showed us how seamlessly it can be done. But I'm sure, of course, it came.
Thank you. I'm feeling so like gushed and really like I don't know if I deserve all of this, but thank you. Really makes me feel very happy. Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine, Abha. I think as easier at me as it may sound, but I'm sure it has come with with its fair share of struggles, with its fair share of back and forth, and so much to be processed and so much to be accepted. So to begin first, Abha, I came across this interview where you spoke very passionately about how your first introduction to the world of music or to the craft of music, much of that has to do with how profound an influence your mother was, because
Mm.
she was a trained singer herself, but circumstances did not really give her the chance to explore her potential further. But she did ensure that she passed some of that traits to you.
Yeah.
So let's begin with how did you get acquainted to music as a young girl?
Uh, Yeah, I think you've covered most of it. So, my mum had learned music in Kashmir from Shambhunath Sopuri ji, who's actually one of those families in Kashmir which are very, very, they are the musical family in Kashmir, and lots of now late Pandit Bhajan Sopuri is also was his son, and now Abhay is, who's another Santoor maestro from Kashmir. He's a Bhajanji's son. My mom was learning from Bhajanji's father, along with other very who now then became profound singers like Kailash Auntie. For me, she's Kailash Masi, who Kailash Mehra Sadhu, who's also an amazing singer from Kashmir, and they all learned together. And mom had great potential, but her health took a beating. And besides that, even the 90s exodus happened, which forced Kashmiri Pandits out of the valley. And I guess then, when she was at a time, she was just like, now us as young people, we're trying to figure out our life and sort out everything, right? They were in that phase when this happened to them. So their life was completely shattered from like word go. So for them, it was about survival. It was about basics. It was about getting the things right for us kids. But somewhere down the line, she to it. She did see me as someone who has some potential, does singing, and is fairly good at it, because she discovered my voice when I was singing in my sleep one day. And then she trained me herself a little bit on all of the, you know, all of those, the heavy dose of 70s, 60s, Lata ji, Asha ji's music, which I feel is the gold mine for everyone in India, because I feel the music that was getting made in those times was extremely rich with very, very good influences coming together.
Hmm.
One, some kind of a modernism coming into Indian music, but at the same time, it was very raga based. It was very Hindustani classical based, or Carnatic classical based for South India. And मतलब compositions इतनी अच्छी थी, लिखाई लिखत it was so good. Everything like in a song which makes a song memorable and last forever, like all the essentials of songwriting were like followed to the T back then, because those guys also didn't have a lot of chances now, like us. Like they don't do like 100 takes, and they had to sing. They would be singing live most of the time, so they had to get it right. Singers and musicians, the band used to be together, like that very organic music. I feel all that is like gold mine for us now to like learn so much from. So my base was that, and then she sent me for classical training, and I learned the Sunny classical for a while. So that way it kind of started, and I was like, okay, starting to discover my voice and be a little serious about music. Yeah.
But was this something that you always wanted to consciously do? Because I mean, because even as you, your family, you were in the midst of a very, very uh, eventful episode that completely shaped, socio-political lives of Kashmiri people in general. You're
Yeah.
bang in the middle of a tragic episode that has affected the lives of Kashmiris in general, irrespective of which side of the spectrum that they are. Um,
Right.
so how did it become your eventual calling, Abha? Because at the end of the day, when survival becomes the basic instinct, um, when the immediate instinct is to, get educated, go and pursue the ways of the world, pursue a job that, provides some sense of stability. Uh, with all this, with all the pressures or the worldly pressures, looming large over one's head, how did you still eventually reach that conclusion that, okay, somewhere your calling lies in music?
Um, Actually, that's a great question. What happened throughout our lives, because we were products of a tragedy,
Yeah.
and really, our childhood was mostly spent in survival mode, or we were not really, we weren't brought up with this thing that the world is yours to conquer, and you need to go live your dream. And no, that wasn't the case. Most Kashmiri Pandits were just like finding ways for their children to just get really well educated. It created that education became our only tool, our only way out of this problem. And most of the times we were told that you have to study, you have to get a job, you have to, because we have just, so in a way, because they had struggled so much, they kind of also told us that you have to make a life for ourselves, and that was very evident from word go. So even though like passions were supported, and like something like music, because it was there in me, was cultivated, but it was never said that okay, now you will go as soon as you are like 16, 17, I will be like, you go to Bombay, you pursue a music, you pursue talent, you pursue your music. No, that wasn't. In fact, that was a burden that I also carried for a while, and it took me some time to come out of that to follow my own path. So I ended up in the finals of Indian Idol uh, after I had just left Jammu, and my brother had forced me to go for these auditions, which were happening in Lucknow. It was the last city left. I was not agreeing. He was like, "No, no, you have to." See, that's the thing, because even though I knew I wanted to do, there was something in me that I was like, "Okay, this is not the path that I'll pursue. So why am I going to do this audition? Go and stand in line, lakhs of people. मेरे को क्यों लेंगे? So, because you're a small town girl, you don't think like you're going to make it, or you have that thing to do this. So but he was like, no, no, you have to. So I did, and before I knew it, I was in the finals, and that became like validation of talent. But after that, it was also this phase, Vijay, where there was like immense fame at a very young age, which were just about 16, 17. I turned 18 on Idol,
Yeah.
and it was like whirlwind of change for someone from like my
Mm.
this one. Okay, you're not expecting this, you have to, and then your parents have somehow sent you to college, you have to study, and then you have this big dream, and you're like, okay, what do I do with this now, so I did some work after Idol, but then there was this, the industry was so different back then. It wasn't so supportive of women generally. It still is not, but then it was a very very bad scene, and more than anything, it was very monopolized. It was very like, okay, we'll only do these two voices, or we'll do only this way if we're doing
Mm.
anything. And More than anything, the independent music scene, that whole that you're going to tell a story of your own. I think I was meant to be an indie artist. I was meant to tell my own story. So I think that wasn't my time as much as I thought that. But at the same time, at that time, my parents were also like, okay, we are really happy that this is happening to you. But would I just sit in Bombay and then do this and just leave college? It wouldn't have happened. So there was a part of me that was like, no, I'm going to finish my studies because anyway, I was a little, idle experience was too much, right? There was like too much success. It was too such great highs and a very terrible low once you fail, once, once, that 1 year is over, the next season comes and things are very different.
And I
So
can
just like,
imagine, sorry to cut you there, I can imagine how it must have felt, Abha, because today, for a lot of young women musicians who are able to make that mark somewhere for themselves because there is accessibility to things, there's information at their disposal. Things have become easier thanks to the evolution of social media, at least in the current decade. You
yeah,
are talking about 2004 when internet itself, just the
just
access
for
to
myself,
just
yeah.
the access to social media only was at a very nascent stage in our country.
Exactly.
And
There was, yeah, I think 2005, 2006, I don't even remember when I was in Idol, 6, 7, whatever. So it was like not even there. But aisa tha ki when I was walking down in the streets of Bombay, people were coming and taking my autographs. So there was fame. And suddenly I was getting too recognized in Bangalore also. But all of that fades away, right? New people come in, new things happen. So this whole thing, na, it's an emotional journey which is very different for a person who's especially coming from my background. And then I told you, right, it was not so safe for women, and all of those things were there. So then I ended up pursuing college. I was like, okay, you know what? Forget this. I will take the path of, like finishing my education. So from there, I then almost started from the lowest of the ebb because I was like, I'm gonna do this on my own. Even though after college I scored like a really good grade and I got into the most premier internship that our college could offer. But in the financial, this one, Goldman Sachs, it was a lot of money. It was good money for a college kid and all of that. But then I was like, I did that internship. I was like, no, I can't do this. This is not my scene. I cannot. This industry is not for me. And so I had to find my own path if I had to be in the media, which is where I chose myself. I was like, no, at least I want to be in the media. I know I want to do something in the entertainment and the media space. So I had to start from scratch in the like lowest of the lowest ebb at a newspaper as a PR executive. And from there, I took my corporate career and grew and grew and grew, on my own merit to a point where I was, at a big TV channel, heading their whole South division and doing their whole thing. So I was making a lot of money. It was all good. I had no, very comfortable paycheck, and I was good at my job. It's not like I was not good at what I was doing. The reason I grew so fast was I was good at what I was doing and enjoyed it. It's not like I didn't like it or anything.
hmm,
But I guess there was this thing that I knew that somewhere that music was my ultimate calling, and I think thank God for Bangalore where I'm based because it's got a really rich indie music scene. It's got amazing, underground musicians, and I happened to just be frequenting clubs and going for these things, and then there started a thing where I just guested with someone just very randomly. And then I knew suddenly when I was on stage after all those years, but there was an audience that was there who was literally just listening to me. And something happened that night. It was like a shift in my brain. I was like, no, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life from here on because it's not, it's that, that came back, all those things from those many years, after Idol and all of that. That whole feeling of, connecting as artist to audience was so real.
hmm.
And again, I'm so grateful for that audience that I got in Bangalore because it was audience that was a listening audience who wanted to listen to music. Hence, I'd come to this gig. It was not one random audience, कहीं पे भी कुछ भी हो रहा है. So that gave me a lot of confidence. And then I was searching for purpose, what inspiration, and then it finally came from Kashmir. So, yeah.
I think it was a trip, somewhere in the in the midst of your corporate life, you decided to take this trip back home and, visit your roots. And
Yeah,
it was that visit that gave you perspective that completely altered the course of, altered the direction where you were heading to. What
yeah.
compelled you, Abha, to leave that life of, comfort and sustenance where, like you rightly said, you were good at your job. The corporate life was very, fulfilling and very kind towards you that way, where you were getting, there was so much at the end of the month. You were getting a stable paycheck. It was buying you the perks that you required in life. Why I'm asking you this, Abha, because somewhere I also felt, being there, that those crossroads came where I knew I had to take, the lesser traveled route. Having spent, some amount of time in a job that I was very happy with. And then for me to suddenly leave all that to find my own calling in this, figuring out my own place in this, in the larger scheme of things. And I took that giant leap with just a very, very tiny glimmer of hope and faith. What gave you that resolve? What strengthened your resolve to take that giant leap? I'm sure, like you rightly have said in so many of your interviews, that it was your home state. It was going back to your roots that gave you that sense of purpose. But even then, somewhere, something must have kind of just strengthened that resolve further.
I think because when I went for this visit, I went in as this 24, 23, 25 something, I don't remember exactly, girl who came with a lot of exposure to the world, a lot more knowledge, and a lot of things to, in my brain already, which were not just, I had very little baggage of my own understanding of Jammu and Kashmir. When I went in with such an open mind, and for me, it was just like, because my dad was posted, he still work in Kashmir. So I went, and for me, it was like, oh my God, this is what I've just been missing for so many years. The connection was very instant, first of all, for me with my roots. I mean, again, we've been brought up in such a way that we are extremely rooted Kashmiri Pandits. I think because also, when your roots are brutally cut from under you, you really try harder to hold on to them. So I think for us, it's that, right? Every single thing we are celebrating to, we carry Kashmir with us everywhere, even if we are not there physically. So it became a very the purpose became very clear to me, because when I was there, I met also a lot of people, and from all walks of life, and I was interacting with everyone, and I realized that pain is such a common thread in our life. Everyone has gone through it in their own way, like me, or someone who's a student in Kashmir who's lost his youth to this whole problem, to not even being able to go to college. At least I went to college, or to not be able to even give your basic examination, whether or not you are even a part of this, or whether or not you, it's not like it chose this life, right? It kind of is handed down to us, whether or not we like it. So I was like, pain is such a common denominator in all of our lives, and I wanted to create some kind of a positive dialogue around this land. I wanted to create a happy association of my own self. It was very cathartic. Like, I visited a home that we used to own, which was ours. And when all the way back from there, after that visit was so emotional, I was like literally weeping through the whole journey. It was Sufi music was playing in the backdrop. It was meant to happen. I think the universe was giving me a lot of signals. And then I knew that my first album will be Sound of Kashmir. I will dedicate that wholly to this land, and my inspiration will come from my sonic roots or identity of rabab, santoor. I'm going to modernize those sounds. I'm going to do something fun with it. I'm going to do my own thing with it. And then I'd also visualize that one day I'm going to come back and perform here, and it'll be great. That time I had like zero, like I was nobody knew me. I didn't know anybody. It was like minus, not even anywhere, like, because I'm starting after so long, right, after Idol. So but that actually happened. I think I manifested it unknowingly, knowing what manifestation even is. I kind of had thought about this, and then I did end up going there some years later to this huge public concert where people were screaming my name. They knew my songs heart to heart, and there were kids, and everyone was dancing in joy. For me, that was the coming together of that vision, that purpose, which is very important for an indie artist. Purpose. What are you saying? What's your story? How authentically real can you stay to your story? And I think whatever you do organically and from your heart, and if it is really you, it translates to people. That's what indie music is, right? At the end of the day. So for me, that started from Kashmir, but then my influences are so wide because I've grown up all around India. So, I have also grown up on a heavy dose of Punjabi music, folk, Sufi, everything. So, all of that is a part of my repertoire. My Hindi music is a part of my repertoire because I'm extremely comfortable in Hindi. It's almost my first language, Urdu also. So, I'm trying to bring everything in that really exists within me as an artist and not restrict myself to just one, this thing. My first album was completely dedicated to Kashmir. And one of those songs became a big breakthrough songs for me, which was Hookus Bookus. But yeah, I think the journey has been on and will continue for a while.
Speaking about the breakout hit, Abad, that really got, that really made people sit up and take notice of your talent, Hokus Pokus. Of course, it became a viral sensation on the internet, and eventually it went on to, land a feature with the first season of Family Man. And it's so fitting
Yeah.
that that song comes bang in the middle when where the lead character is actually heading to Kashmir. It comes at such a crucial juncture. Um,
Correct.
so while the picturesque, views of the valley follow, your voice is singing Hokus Pokus along, and it's such a beautiful song. Like frankly, my brother, he saw the first season of Family Man, and he's not a very ardent follower of independent music, like me. But when he heard Hookus Bookus, he just keeps singing the first line without knowing what the song is. He doesn't know who the artist is.
Yeah.
Yes, he just keeps
Wow.
singing the first line always. So how do you look
That's
at it?
lovely to hear.
Thank you.
Great.
How do you look at the journey of this song? Uh, how do you look back at the first time when you thought about it, when this was something that you wanted to in your resolve to bring the stories and bring the lives of Kashmiri folk in general to an audience that is largely unaware and
Yeah.
uninformed about the plighted lives of Kashmiri people in general. So at a time like that, what when you look back, do you want to reflect upon how did it all start for Hookus Bookus in the first place? Where was it first conceived? What was the first thought that led you
It
to make the song?
It was a part of the album, which is Sound of Kashmir, and I wanted to do a song that will, for a little version of myself, like a small. If I was a kid, how would I have enjoyed the song? So it was more of a, my grandmother used to sing it to me, and it is something that, I've grown up. All Kashmiris know Hukus Bukus. We've all grown up learning it. It's got a very deep spiritual meaning to it, but
Hmm.
it was over time dumbed down for children just so that it gets passed on. And I feel very grateful about one fact that I have played a small role in it getting further passed on,
Hmm.
like in a way that children are really owning the song, and not just children, kids, adults are owning the song, and people who are not from Kashmir are owning the song, and people who don't know the language come and sing it back at my concerts. So it became that really that song that made that linguistic crossover happen
Yeah.
for real. Now, for me as a Kashmiri, or for Kashmiri as a language, because there are a lot of songs that happen in different languages that we don't understand, but we've grown up, we've all grooved to Macarena, we've all grooved to Makkeba, grooved to these songs that we have no idea what they're saying, but we love the sound of it, right?
Yeah.
So in Kashmiri, this became that one song that created that connection with people who are not from the land. And for me, that became a big win as an artist, and also as a creator, and also as a Kashmiri. And for the song, my hope when we conceived it, it was like I told you, right? We want to keep it extremely fun, but I had not expected that it's going to go this crazy as it did. So if I sit here and tell you that I really figured it out, I knew what I wanted, and I know how to make a viral hit. I had no idea then. I still don't know even today. after after having a viral song, I still don't know how to make another viral song. You know what the viral means. I think we need to get over this whole
I
thing.
think there is no such thing as, oh, I want to make a viral song. It's just that I want to make music that I believe in, and hopefully it'll find its audience, which I think that
Exactly,
is what
exactly.
happened with Hocus Pocus.
That's what happened, and that was like really instant. Okay, so I knew that it was going because I had done so much music before Hocus Pocus also. Everything grew nicely at its own pace slowly. Some of my other stuff had also gone viral before that, but not to this extent. Um, so it was very instant. I could feel that, overnight, that night when the day when I released the song to the next day, I don't remember those 24 hours. It was so bad. It was so crazy that I was on the phone all the time or something or the other was coming, calls were happening and things were going like fun, fun, fun. So I just don't remember those 24 hours. I barely ate during that time. I barely had food and I was alone at home, I remember. So it was really nuts. And I was like, oh God, is this really happening? And then again, I feel like songs have a journey of their own, yeah, Vijay. I feel, but again, we as artists also, for me also for a long time, I was thinking that every song of mine should be like that, or all songs are great, right, in some or the other way. It's not the
Yeah,
connection. It's not just because the other song has not become this viral sensation, it has not connected with the audience. So this is something that I took time to understand. Because what I followed this up with was a full ballad like Khan Majkoor, which was in a completely
mm,
different direction. Now, what a record label would have done with a song like because or with an artist like this one, it was like, okay, follow it up with the same song, the same
mm,
sound, do the same thing again, again and again and again and again, and use it and bank it. I didn't want to do that
right.
because for me, I don't see myself as just that one kind of artist, right? I have a really diverse range of music and the kind of songwriting that I do is very diverse. The kind of singing that I do is diverse. The kind of music I want to make is in a lot of spaces. And I don't box myself as an artist at all. I don't know if others do, but I don't box myself. So I didn't want to do that, and I followed it up with "Han Mujhko," which I feel is a really rich song. And while it didn't go viral, till date today, people come to my concerts and they want to listen to the song. So the connection has happened. It's just that it has not done 6 million views, just like Hocus Pocus has, because it's grown on its own pace, in its own way, in a different way. Today also people keep listening to it. It's still there. So this connection that I had to only make in my head, that that I don't think you as an artist can sit and conceive how to create that song that is going to be viral or hit and all of that. It's just I think, and especially indie artists, like I think if people who are telling their own stories, people who are doing music that is bound to be authentic, original, in a very real way, they can't really predict these kind of things. Again, with even Njami, if you heard that song, it was such a real, honest story, right, of the people of the land. I think that's what connected it to so many people, and then also others who were interested and they were like, "What are they saying? Let's Google this." So these kinds of songs, they just happen. It's not like you sit and you plan those.
Think of something more personal, Abha. Let's talk about Zipley Productions, the record label that you have started with the hope and the objective of wanting to make it a better place for artists, younger and upcoming and emerging artists. So, do you want to tell us a little more about that?
So again, like for me, I was always a self-releasing indie artist, self-published, self-releasing. So for me, I was doing things randomly for a long time, and then I was like, you know what, let me put some method to this madness, and then do the record label. And with the record label, the hope is also to really tell important but eclectic stories from the Southeast Asian diaspora, which is essentially music that is rooted in culture but is also at the same time really eclectic and modern, kind of stuff that I do. And right now, it's Ziply is only doing my music for now, but the plans are to do much more with it in the future, which I will also get to. So I really see it as as a beacon of hope for musicians in the future. But again, in my own small way, whatever I can do to help and support arts and artists, I will always want to do that as the next step in my career. So again, because the kind of music that I'm doing, if I don't find a record label right now for it, that doesn't mean that I can't go and self-release myself. So that's where the whole thing about Zippy started. And also it's a production house that really produces very eclectic music videos and visual content. So all of my music videos are also under the same head, which you'll always find something very new in, something different in. With Hocus Pocus to Roshwala, I've gone in a very different direction with what I've done. And Madano, my latest song, is also extremely different in its approach. So yeah, I really enjoy that part of the business as well. So yeah.
Because you just mentioned Madno, let's talk about that because like I rightfully mentioned in my little opinion about it also that it's a celebration of love and romance. It's a gaze, it's a glance at love and romance from the female perspective. Um, and somewhere it made me realize that how love and romance is also something, a territory that somewhere I believe has been, the romanticization of it has been somewhere reserved for the men. Like if the woman
Yeah.
makes the first move, if she likes somebody, somewhere there's always not a very encouraging gaze towards it. Somewhere there's a
Yeah.
certain level of branding associated with it. And then the woman is never looked at or she's never perceived the same way that a man is. So if a man is
Hmm.
pursuing somebody, he likes, oh, he's all out there. He is so
Yeah.
he's so in love, deeply in love. But the same thing when it comes to a woman. And unfortunately, so many of our movies also have largely been responsible for selling a different narrative where a
Yeah.
woman, if she's shown to be in love and completely obsessed with somebody, she's either psychotic or something is completely
Or
wrong
she's
with
a
her.
bad.
Yeah, or she's creepy. She's outright
Yeah.
creepy. So somewhere, Madno comes as a very refreshing change, and it comes as something deeply very illuminating. And also, it sees you combine forces with the guitar legend from the independent music space, Kalyan Barua. So, as
Yeah.
much as this collaboration is very exciting, do you want to tell our listeners and our viewers about Madno a little bit?
So, you're so right about what you said about the female lens of passion and romance, right? For me, that was what I was going for with the song's direction. So there are so many, again, in the mainstream, the songs that are sung for love are sung by men, and there is one line by a female, or it is sung, a male song is also like the what woman man is singing is the same thing that woman also supposed to feel. Women feel love in a very different way. They feel romance in a very different way, which is a very different color. And also that headiness of new love and passion from a woman's perspective. I felt like it is very important that it, comes also in the fore and also should be more contemporized in today's day and age, especially in today's day and age, because women are really taking charge of their love life. Um, then again, this used to happen back in the day. So when the times of Mirabai, Haba Khatun in Kashmir, or you know, these are women poets who I have always enjoyed listening to and loved their work. And they used to Arnimal from Kashmir. No, these are poets that have written extensively from their own feelings of love and passion and romance. And that poetry is something somewhere gotten lost over the period of time. As we go forward, like women are writing in the mainstream, but they're writing for men. So this is very. I felt like it comes in as a song which women also should own. Men should also own, but it's like a song which is really, paying a lot of attention to the fact that this is from a woman's perspective. Then again, the word Madano itself is, Madan is for Krishna in Hindi, Kamdev also in Hindi. Then Madano is a Kashmiri word as well, also used to denote a beloved. Back in the day, my dad was telling me there used to be this tradition called Madan Chaturdashi in Kashmir, the Vedic times and Puran. It's written in our Purans also, where there used to be a celebration of love, almost like Valentine's Day, or and even more grander that used to happen in Kashmir, where husbands used to over pamper wives. They used to like there's rose petals involved, baths involved, and very very romantic. And this was all a part of our Indian culture. And then eventually, over a period of time, they stopped celebrating it. I was like, so you let go of all the good stuff and stayed on with all the rudimentary things. What kind of evolution is that? So there used to be a real proper Valentine's Day in Kashmir that used to be celebrated back in the day, which is called Madan Chaturdashi. So this also has that Madano is a word that I also, so it has a very deep rooted this thing influence in Kashmiri, which is a lot of my music kind of songwriting sometimes goes there a lot. So yeah, it's very exciting to bring in that perspective. And with Kalyan, it was such a big honor for me to work with him. He and I met on a project with Sachin and Jigar where I was guesting on a show with them. And we hit it off, became friends, and wanted to do a song together. And this was kind of something that I was playing with, and we made this happen. So this is a very exciting collaboration for me. And yeah, people also get to hear a very different side of me with the song, which is a very original side, and a lot more music in Hindi is going to come. So people will know, or I think the audiences will also like get to hear a very different side of me with all of that.
How interesting. I wouldn't have actually heard about something like Madan Chaturdashi, but I think that's also largely reflective of about something which you have rightly pointed out in so many of interactions with the media that unfortunately your home state has been portrayed in such a negative light time and again by mainstream media. The narratives that run around it, either, like you rightly have said, that either it's tourism or it's terrorism. I mean, very little do people who are not Kashmiri, very little do they know that firstly, there is a language called Kashmiri. Secondly, they're not aware of the different dialects and the different, elements that make Kashmiri stick. I think the only I think the only popular things that everybody knows are the tourist attractions or the Kashmiri food or the kevar tea, which is very famous in Kashmir. It's only these one or two elements that somebody points out socially, say on social media, that is known about Kashmiri people and their lifestyle. Uh, so, as an artist, um, does it become a huge responsibility on your part as an artist to ensure that much of this lack of awareness is eradicated?
I think yeah, that's where the purpose was when I started. That's the purpose I started with. And when I was starting, then it was a very small, like small as in minuscule or almost minus. There was nobody who was really pushing this envelope and doing Kashmiri as a language with folk and everything that I brought in with it. I started this whole thing with that passion and purpose that there should be this representation in the mainstream for the language, and younger people have to. I wanted younger people to adopt their culture very proudly, and really own it in their own way. So that was something that was a part of my purpose, when I started, because it was like literally there was nothing. It was like at the bottom of its surface. Um, with folk and everything, and the rabab and the whole mixing of things and folk, especially bringing folk in the forefront. Today, I see a lot more artists doing lot more music in Kashmiri. A lot of the artists are, doing a lot of amazing work also in this. And I feel so happy to see all of that, because it creates a really, like, there is a chance of it becoming some kind of an industry, hopefully. Although right now also it's extremely, bottom, like it's a very small language, so it's at a very small level, but still I really hope that this whole thing of our music was used to be. I can now say it was used to be boxed in a certain way, and it was blasphemous to touch it in any other way almost. Because when I started, I also like it. Anything new when you do, when you're pioneering stuff, you get a lot of brickbats and you also get a lot of praise. So both of the these I've dealt with. Much before Hookus Bookus, when I was doing stuff, it was like a lot of things were like going right and a lot of things were going wrong. And
Yeah.
I was also learning through the whole process. But at the end of the day, the kind of love that people have now started to really show for their language and own it is like
Yep.
something that makes me feel very proud. I feel very happy about it. I feel happy that there is a lot more awareness about the language, about culture, and uh, everyone is playing a good part in pushing that envelope of changing the conversation. Because what is there we can't change. We can only start a new dialogue of our own, which could be positive, which could be better. I think that's what artists have to do. That's their job. Artists, scholars, writers, and I think in Kashmir, all these facets are active. There are people who
Right.
are writing beautiful literature in Kashmir. There are people, and I'm talking about the contemporaries, not ancient and age old, because that tradition is already there. That gene already exists. That's why there are
Yep.
so much. There's so much art and culture that used to thrive in Kashmir. It used to be the bhumi of Natya Shastra and everything, right? So it is something that has it is मतलब वादी की हवाओं में, like they say, has always been music.
Hmm.
So everyone in their own way is doing their things to contribute towards that part of our culture and heritage, and I feel very happy to be a part of it. Yeah.
Two questions, the last two questions before we conclude. One of my personal favorite questions, which I ask artists in the interviews, because I hugely feel about the feeling of community. I'm a huge endorser of that. Um,
Yeah.
so some of your personal favorites from a Indian independent music scene that you have been listening to, or whose work you have been following, and you feel they're such just amazing artists, firstly in themselves, that you would recommend everybody to listen to.
um I have really always loved Soulmate. It's just something that, I mean, Tiprati is like my favorite vocalist ever. I think she is just phenomenal. I've heard her live and I had tears in my eyes. She's so good. So I'm a huge fan of hers, and she knows this. So I feel like Soulmate is one band that I think you have to never ever miss live. And I really, really love Agam's music. Beautiful. They are, really pushing the envelope and, also like raising the bar every time with whatever that they are doing. There's some really amazing music that singer-songwriters also are doing now, which is really beautiful. I've heard Anumita's music recently, who I, really enjoyed. I love her voice. It's so calm and it's so serene. Her composition style is also very unique to her. I really enjoyed Kwab. And I've been a big fan of Aviel for the longest time. Yeah, I mean, so many, man. I mean, what do I tell you and what do I not tell you? It's like almost. I think I've covered a lot of ground, but yeah, a lot of them. Yeah.
um, Lastly, Abha, before we conclude this interview, uh, one of the most beautiful phases of your life in the recent time is motherhood. And we know with the birth of your daughter, Sitara, oh, I believe she is 15 months or more. Uh,
Yeah. She's
how
now going to be 18 months, yeah, 1.5 years.
eight 1.5 years. Um, so how what is the level of energy that she has brought into your life? In any way, has motherhood kind of strengthened your resolve further as an artist, or more importantly, as an individual?
Yeah, absolutely, it has. So, there was a lot of discovery that I made about my own self and about motherhood as I went through the process. I can say that it is a huge, huge change in your life. I'm literally a 2.0 version of myself right now. And that 2.0 version is different, and it's different in a way which is almost to do with the fact that I'm stronger than I thought that I ever was. and I have a much better view of how I want to get things. This is a mom hack, like you get that you really stop sweating the small stuff when you become a mom, because A, you have no time, and B, you really understand that you see life through a child's eyes, and it renews your passion towards life in a very different way. There are some glorious and beautiful things that motherhood brings to your life, and I have embraced all of them. And then there are some really, really big challenges that it throws at you, which can throw you off balance very badly, which has also happened with me when I was going through my new motherhood phase, which is the very difficult phase for a human
Absolutely,
being,
I can
because
understand.
it becomes, you're a walking, talking zombie. You're not sleeping through the night, you're feeding through the night. You're sharing your body for a very long time. So, this is
Yeah,
the thing with women, right? This is the thing that specifically women go through, not really that much men, because through the pregnancy and then through breastfeeding, you're sharing your body with another human being for a long time. And that
yeah,
itself is a really huge change and very difficult to manage physically. So it's been a huge roller coaster, I'd say so far. But I am, so grateful for everything it's brought into my life, because I knew very surely that at the point when I had her, that I wanted to be a mom. It was something that was a strong urge that was there inside me, and though it is really, like, I think any mom will tell you this, like, though it's extremely difficult and you go crazy and you sometimes want to hitting walls, but it's absolutely worth it, and it's the most beautiful thing that will actually that completes your life if you're really seeking that.
yeah,
So it's really beautiful, and I think I now feel a little bit of an added responsibility because she's a girl, and I feel like girls go through life, because I have gone through life as a woman facing very different
yeah,
challenges than
yeah.
a man would. So I am is very determined to bring her up in a way where she can really face those, and she can be her own person, and she can, deal with life the way she wants to, and she has to never apologize for who she is. And none of that baggage should be hers to carry, which was mine. So that's a lot of learning. You have to really unlearn a lot from your own childhood to do something new for your kid. So it makes your life and yourself a really better person, and it really lends into my artistic, myself as an what I see it lending to my art is a whole new perspective of empathy and compassion and kindness, and feeling, really, like I have unlocked a very different version of love in my heart at this stage of my life, and I feel like all of that is going to also go into my songwriting, so I'm excited about that.
Well, here's to you rising and shining in every role that you undertake, Abha. Thank you so much for
Thank
talking to
you.
me on VJ's playlist. This has been um such an exceptional episode personally, and it.
Oh, sweet.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your time and for your grace.
And thank you for having me. I'm so happy and proud of you that you have started this new channel, which I know will grow leaps and bounds, and all my love and support to you. And I know that, it has taken you courage to take the step, and you'll follow through, and this will work out for you in beautiful ways. And I'm always there for whatever support you need. And a lot of love from me to you and the viewers, whoever's viewed this. And thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Abha.